Right. Welcome back to the Finley Formation. This is Brandon.
This Gage.
And this is Jared, and we've made it to the bottom two, if that's how
Last
we're gonna,
two.
we're gonna describe it that way. With as far as standings go, they're not in draft season anymore. But even way, the Browns had the second pick. They ended up trading it away to the Jaguars, so they ended up picking fifth. But we're on to the Cleveland Browns history. They were established in 1944 by Paul Brown, which that's where they ended up getting their name. So they're not very original. And Arthur McBride. So the two guys were co-owners. But their first season was 1946, and they were a charter member of the AAFC, the All America Football Conference. So they've been around for 77 years. Their all-time record is, this is surprising. Their all-time record is 562, 548, and 14.
Well, they have a winning
They do have a winning record.
Wow.
How's that surprising, man? Autogram, 11
That's true.
champions.
that is true. So recent memory, like even like Gage's era, they I'll get into it, but it
Yeah, 500
they
of those
dominated
wins came before
they
these.
dominated the
Yeah.
50s and 60s, that's for sure, and for part of the 40s. But they joined the NFL in 1950. That's when the NFL actually got established. So they were in the American Conference from 1950 to 52, and then the Eastern Conference from 1953 to 69, and then the merger happened in 1970 with NFC and AFC. So they've been in the AFC since. They started off in the Central Division from 1970 to 95, and then we all know, because I did the Baltimore breakdown, is in after the 95 season is when Art Modell, their owner, moved the team to Baltimore. So it's just suspended operations for the Cleveland Browns for 3 seasons. And then when they came back from 91 to 01, they were still in the Central Division, and then that's when they realigned the conferences. So then they went to the AFC North. Since 2002, they've been in the AFC North. Like I said, they suspended operations from 96 through 98. That's when Art Modell moved the team to Baltimore. What they did is Baltimore wasn't allowed to like take the name, take the history, take anything. Like the only thing he was able to take was like personnel and front office people. So Baltimore was technically considered an expansion team, while Cleveland was promised that by 1999 they would have a team, which ended up happening back in 1999. They reestablished operations and were a football team again. But they have a playoff appearance of 30 times, yep, and they have a record of 17 and 22. So 77 seasons, 30 appearances. So
That's significantly better than the Giants.
Yeah,
if you think
I
back.
wouldn't have thought that.
Yep.
Wow. I knew they were good at times, but not that good. Wow.
11 championships, Autogram.
They do have 12 division championships, but their last one was in 1989. They do have 11 conference championships, but their last one was in 1969. So that, and they do have 8 league championships, no Super Bowls. So 4 in the AFC, and then 4 pre-merger. So, and then their last league championship coming in 1964. So you can kind of see where this history is going.
Yeah.
They do have 19 players in the Ring of Honor, and then they have 17, so actually 18 players in the Ring of Honor, 1 head coach. But then most of those guys are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because they have 17 players in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is the 7th most or 4th most. So the Ring of Honor, which is exactly the same besides one person, mimics the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Jim Brown, running back. Joe DeLemere, offensive guard. Len Ford, D-end. Frank Gatsky, center. Otto Graham, quarterback. Lou Grauza, offensive tackle, kicker.
Yep.
Wow.
So
he's the kicker award in college football, Lou Grauza.
Right. So I've heard that name, but I didn't realize he was an offensive tackle at the same time, which is kind of funny.
That's pretty wild.
So that just goes to show you the type of players that were in the 40s and 50s. Gene Hickerson, offensive guard. Leroy Kelly, running back. Dante Lavelle, wide receiver. Mike McCormick, offensive tackle. Bobby Mitchell, wide receiver. Marion Motley, fullback. Ozzie Newsome, tight end. Paul Warfield, wide receiver. Bill Willis, offensive tackle. Joe Thomas, offensive tackle. Clay Matthews Jr., linebacker. Mark Speedy, wide receiver. And then Paul Brown, head coach. And all those guys besides Clay Matthews Jr. are in the Hall of Fame, which is kind of surprising because Clay Matthews Jr., he was there from 78 to 93. He's their all-time leading tackles leader. And he has like a ridiculous amount, or his statistics is like out of this world. It's let me read them off to you. He's got 4 Pro Bowls, 3 time All-Pro selection. He's got 1,561 tackles and
Jeez.
27 forced fumbles. But
Holy
he's not
hell.
in the Hall of Fame, which
That's
is kind of
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, he's getting robbed.
Yeah.
Every year they do it, he gets robbed.
But he's
Yeah.
the only one in their Ring of Honor who's not in the Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
And then they do have 5 retired numbers: number 14 autogram, 32 Jim Brown, 45 Ernie Davis, which
he ended up with leukemia,
yes.
right?
So his backstory is they drafted him in 62 or 63, but he was the first African American Heisman winner. They drafted him from Syracuse. He came in like during the off season with the team, and then they ended up finding he had leukemia. He actually never played in the NFL.
Yeah.
But they retired his number: 45, 46 Don Fleming, and then 76 Lou Grauza.
That's cool. They retired Ernie Davis, right? Who was the college guy who first to win 2 Heismans? He might be the only one. I don't know if anybody's done it again, but
I can't remember. He is the only one.
I can't remember his name.
Doesn't ring in the yeah.
But I thought he played for the Browns, but he must not have. I thought he got drafted.
I don't think it wasn't Jim Brown, was it?
I don't think so.
No.
But Jim Brown, I've made arguments in the past that he's the greatest running back ever.
Yeah. He's got statistics to back it up. So now that kind of leads us into their statistical leaders. Passing is, for yardage wise, it's Brian Seep. Played for Brian Seep.
One of those memes.
Yeah.
Who?
74 to 83. He played in 125 games. He threw for 23,713 yards.
He's their leading passer.
Yeah.
23,000.
Yeah.
23,000. Going back to last episode, you want to keep talking about Eli's Justice Super Bowls?
Archie Griffin. That's the 2-time guy.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Passing touchdowns is autogram. He played in 126 games. He threw for 174 touchdowns.
That's a pretty good ratio.
It is, yeah. Which he played in the 40s and 50s. So back then, that was probably pretty wild to see from the stands.
Yeah.
The forward passing game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rushing is Jim Brown for yardage and touchdowns. He played in 118 games, 12,312 yards, 106 touchdowns. Receiving is Ozzie Newsome. He played in 198 games. He has 7,980 yards. And then Gary Collins played in 127 games. He has 70 receiving touchdowns. Defense tackles wise, I already mentioned Clay Matthews for tackles. Sacks, can anybody guess sacks?
Is Garrett up there already?
It's Gary, yeah.
Nice.
Myles Garrett.
It? Wow.
117 games. He has 102 and a half sacks. And then INTs is Tom Darden. Played 128 games and 45 INTs.
What years? Like
Tom Darden is 72 to 81.
Oh,
And then Clay Matthews Jr., which is Clay Matthews' dad,
68, you said?
78 to 93.
78.
He played in 232 games, which is pretty crazy. This next thing, instead of doing notable players, I wanted to do something kind of fun because the Cleveland Browns have the most starting quarterbacks since they reemerged in 1999.
Oh, okay.
They have 40 starting quarterbacks, so I'm going to name them off for you guys.
Oh,
Tim Couch, Ty Detmer, Doug Peterson, Surgeon Wynn, Kelly Holcomb, Jeff Garcia, Luke McCown, Trent Dilfer, Charlie Fry, Derek Anderson, Brady Quinn, Ken Dorsey, Bruce Gradkowski, Colt McCoy, Jake Delhomme, Seneca Wallace, Brandon Whedon, Thad Lewis, Jason Campbell, Brian Hoyer, Johnny Manziel, Connor Shaw, Josh McGowan, Austin Davis, Cody Kessler, Robert Griffin III, Deshaun Kaiser, Kevin Hogan, Baker Mayfield, Tyrod Taylor, Case Keenum, Nick Mullins, Jacoby Brissett, Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, PJ Walker, Jeff Driscoll, Jameis Winston, and Bailey Zappi.
Jesus.
man.
And how many of those guys, like Brady Quinn, coming out of Notre Dame, he was going to be good.
Yeah.
Like, he was going to be great, according to everything. I wonder if he would have went somewhere else if he would have been.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys.
Well, you look at Baker Mayfield actually started quite a few games for him, like probably 40 plus. And then you just look at what Baker's doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
but a lot of these names are first round picks. Tim Couch, Ty Detmer, who was it? Brandon Whedon was that kind of older quarterback from
Yeah, he was picked in
Fresno or Florida State, I think.
I think it was I want to say it was somewhere in the South, but I don't think it was Florida. Anyway, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And then
though.
you have the Johnny Manziel kind of experiment that they
Yeah.
kind of went with. And then most recently, I wanted to talk about the Deshaun Watson. So in 2022, the Texans traded Watson and a 2024 sixth-round pick to the Browns for first-round picks in 22, 23, 24, as well as the third-round pick in 23, a fourth-round picks in 22 and 24. And then as part of the trade, Deshaun Watson signed a fully guaranteed 5-year, $230 million guaranteed contract, which the Browns still owe $92 million over the next 2 years.
Yeah, they're so hooked.
And they're just going to keep pushing it back.
And
pushing it
he's
back,
that
pushing it back.
anchor
Yep.
just around their neck right now,
Yep.
man.
And so, like Gage said, they've restructured his contract twice, and so next year's cap he counts as like $80 million towards the cap, and so they'll restructure it again to get that cap hit down.
Jeez.
So as it stands now, without the restructure next year, that he's due $80 million towards the cap. His contract they'll be paying him past 2030. So when they restructure him again next year to get that cap hit down, they'll probably be paying him past 2031 and 32.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yeah. So by the end of his contract, it'll probably be like 2036 when we stop
Mhm.
seeing his name
Associated with the
taking
Browns.
cap away from the Browns.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Wow.
They have 22 head coaches in their history. Obviously, the most well-known, or not well-known, but leader is Paul Brown, their original head coach. He was there from 46 to 62. He was 158 and 48 and 8.
God damn, that's pretty good, man.
And then right after him was Blanton Collier. He was there from 63 to 70. So from 46 to 70, or actually Blanton Collier was 46 or 76, 32 and 2. So the first two head coaches that they had were actually like really good.
Mhm.
I wanted to kind of touch on this. They have had 12 coaches since their re-emerged in 1999. They are combined 141, 278 and 1 in the regular
Jesus.
season and 1 and 3 in the playoffs. So that makes it kind of surprising towards their overall record is a winning, and within like the last 12 years they are minus like 130 in the
Yeah.
win department.
Yeah.
But the 12 coaches since 1999, Chris Palmer, Butch Davis, Terry Robisky, Romeo Cornell, Eric Mangini, Pat Shermer, Rod Chazinski, Mike Pettin, Hugh Douglas. I wanted to highlight him. He was there for 3 years. He was 3 and 36 and 1.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
And then Greg Williams, Freddie Kitchens, and then Kevin Stefanski is still there. He's been there since 2020, and he actually has a 40 and 44 record. So he's kind of teetering on 500.
Yeah. Well, they made the playoffs not this last season, but the season before, with Joe Flacco.
Yep. That brings
The
us
dog, Joe Flacco, comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco.
Or sorry, with the Browns defense.
yeah.
Comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco.
Front office wise, owners are Jimmy and Dee Haslam. They've been there since 2020 or 2012, and then executive VP / GM is Andrew Berry, and then head coach Kevin Stefanski. That kind of leads us into where they are now.
So one I just wanted to go back to, which is crazy because the Romeo Cornell,
Mhm.
he was part of the Belichick.
Yep.
Right. With it was Romeo Cornell was the defensive coordinator, and
Charlie Weiss.
Charlie Weiss was the offensive coordinator, and both of those guys left there after I think was that third Super Bowl they won.
So yeah.
And I mean, I thought that was going to be a great hire too, but he did not pan out.
Yep.
So that's crazy to me. I just wanted, going back when you said that name, I was like, wow, I haven't even heard of that guy so much lately. But.
Yeah. But that kind of leads us into where we are now, present day. We talked about it last episode. It kind of tracks with their history recently with quarterbacks. I think we're all in consensus that they do have the worst quarterback room in the NFL.
Yeah.
You have Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, who they drafted in the 3rd round this year, Shadir Sanders, who they drafted in the 5th, and Deshaun Watson, who's going to be on IR for probably the whole season with the torn Achilles that he suffered last year.
Yeah.
That they're paying $46 million towards.
So you don't think they don't think he'll be back?
No, so he tore his Achilles, which wouldn't have been a big deal. He might have made it back this year, but then he retore it 3 months later. So he just recently had surgery within the last couple months again.
Okay,
So, like,
I didn't hear about that part.
Espen needs to update a few things then. 'Cause I was looking at ESPN and their roster has Deshaun as the starter.
Oh, really? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
going to start the season. I don't think he'll even play this year with his second
And then it
Achilles
had
surgery.
Shadur not on there, but had
Oh,
Dylan
really?
on there too. And that's how I knew it was updated because it had Dylan on there, but had
Yeah.
Shadur not on there and Deshaun starting.
Which I don't know how you guys feel about their 2 draft picks with Gabriel and Sanders. But the only issue that I had with it is like where are you gonna get your like reps from? Like if you're gonna keep 4 quarterbacks on your roster, like obviously Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders aren't gonna be taking the majority of your, or maybe one of them is, but you brought Kenny Pickett in for a reason. You just brought Joe Flacco in for a reason, so they're gonna be taking up reps.
Mm-hmm.
But one of those guys, one of those, I think veterans aren't gonna be on the team.
It's got to be one of them they're
Yeah.
going to cut.
No.
I mean,
No, you sent your doer package.
You could, yeah, I could see that too.
I think that's the easiest choice.
That might be, yeah.
I mean, of course, if Shador shows out and does actually beat out Dylan, which doesn't
Right.
seem like he's going to do
Mhm.
with recent news, then you send Dylan packing. The thing is Kenny, although technically a veteran compared to Lamb, I don't think he's been in the league long enough to be considered a veteran yet.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Kenny would be, but he was the pick. What in 2000?
But he spent 2 years with the Steelers. Last year he was with Philadelphia, so this is his 4th year.
Was
Yeah.
he only in his 4th?
I
So
think
that
so.
it'd be after this year that he's
I
considered.
thought actual veteran was considered 7 years for what was considered a
No,
veteran.
I don't.
But either way, I think you send one of the rookies packing because Dylan wasn't expected to be anything, especially with this size. And Shador is so much of an asshole that that if he doesn't live up to the hype, then I think he's gone.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. If neither of those guys show what Kenny Pickett has, fine. I agree. But if they're even equal to what Pickett has, I say, I'd send Kenny. But
Mm-hmm.
I know they want Joe Flacco there probably because they want to relive what they did a couple of years ago, where he come in and was able to at least manage that offense enough to get him into the
Manage
playoffs.
it. He
He did not tear it up.
Yeah. He crawled his way into the comeback player of the year. No, he lit that shit up for a 36-year-old quarterback.
Is that how
Yeah.
old he is now, or is that when he was?
I don't know how old he is now.
I'm not sure.
I know he's getting there, and he's got
40.
a couple of head hits. Yeah,
He's
so
40 now.
He was
which is-
36, 37.
Wow.
He
Um,
lit that shit
That
up.
would have been like more 38, right? I mean, it's only been
Yeah.
2 seasons ago.
That's
It
true.
was,
Yeah,
yeah.
38.
You got to math your math, dude.
Yep. So since 2022, well, even since they came back into the league in '99, they've only made the playoffs 3 times. But actually, they made the playoffs twice since 2020. So they were 11-5 in 2020, and then 2 years ago in 2023 they were 11-6. So
Who's
I
their
mean,
quarterback in 2020?
um,
Can't remember now.
Mayfield.
That was
Baker
Mayfield's
yeah.
like first big year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, of course, huge controversy around their quarterback room right now. Everybody expected them to get Shador in the first.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody's like, oh, they're going to get him now in the second. Oh, they're going to get him down in the third. And then it's Dylan. And then everybody's like, are they not going to get Shador if they fall? They could get him.
Roster wise, I know Jerry Judy's in Brandon's top 5 wide receivers, so I mean he must like him.
Yeah. Yeah. He thinks they got
I do. I think they're one deep. I think they got a good wide receiver there.
Other than that, they lost. They still have Jerome Ford. He's been there, but I like the Quinshon Junkins draft pick in the second round, the running back out of Ohio State.
I actually like the Deontay Johnson pickup too. I think he adds a little bit
Mhm.
more depth to their receiver room. He's
He does,
nothing
yeah.
crazy, but
Yep.
he does add an extra target that's decent.
I think where you're going to see them kind of still be. I really like their defense. I know they kind of took a step back a little bit last year, but the Mason Graham pickup to be alongside Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett just signed the richest contract, non-quarterback contract, and I think he topped Jamar Chase, didn't he?
Yeah,
As far as money wise.
Yeah, he's the highest paid non-quarterback. Yep.
So
well,
they,
then they paired Malik Collins in there too for their D line.
that's true. Yeah, I just noticed that too. I like that. So their D line's going to be really good with Garrett. I don't know how you guys feel, but I think Myles Garrett is clearly the best defensive end in the National Football League.
Yeah.
True DN, yes.
Oh, for
Yes.
sure.
Me and Brandon go back and forth about whether it's T.J. Watt or Myles Garrett for the best pass rusher.
Yeah, and I like Myles Garrett. Where you think T.J. Watt is?
Yeah.
I think as far as like true defensive end, as far as like run stopping ability, pass stopping ability, or pass rushing, I don't think you get much better than.
True DN is Myles Garrett,
Yeah.
but strictly pass rush, I
I like
take
I like
TJ.
TJ. Yeah.
And then, I mean, Miles Garrett too, also like tackles for loss. It's not just
Yeah.
getting to the quarterback, man. He's stopping guys out there, and he causes a lot of he really gets that flow back inside like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Like he is just that good. So
And it's pretty funny how I like talk about the 4 front and 5 front, even in the last episode with the Strahan Taylor argument, but now I'm taking the outside back and you're taking the DN.
Defensive wise, I think they're just 2 years removed in that 2023 year. I think they were the number one defense or at least top three.
Yeah, they were.
They still got Jim Swartz as their defensive coordinator. I really like him. He's been there for a while. Their OC now is Tommy Rees, old Notre Dame quarterback.
Oh, okay.
He was I think he was with Cincinnati last year as like a tight end coach or something like that. But he comes, but I'm pretty sure. Well, maybe I'm not sure, but doesn't Kevin Stefanski still call the offense as far as play calls go?
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he does.
Yeah,
I believe he's just like
unless they stripped him of that.
Shanahan
I'm
or
not
stuff
sure,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, unless they stripped him. One thing I like their linebackers with Jordan Hicks and Carson Schlesinger
Oh
too.
yeah,
I was huge on Schlesinger since like halfway through college football year. This whole podcast I've been talking high on Carson Schlesinger, so I really love that. I think Jordan Hicks, he's good enough to get the job done, and then they got depth with Devin Bush behind, who is good in pass coverage because he can keep up with almost every tight end in the league because he's a fast guy.
So are they running more of a? They run a 4-3, but do they run more of a 5 cornerback set, like a 5 back set?
Yeah,
I think their base is a 4-2-5.
It is, yeah, because they have. I really like their defensive back room with Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, and Greg Newsome, and then you got Ronnie Hickman as the free safety, and then Martin Emerson Jr. So their defensive back room is all the same from last year.
I like their depth, especially with the signing of DeMonte Casey, but I don't like their safeties. I don't think they have a really good safety back there, but I do like their depth in the safety room.
I think they'll be okay. I mean, just that Deshaun Watson giving up 3 first-round picks and then 3 other picks on top of it that just kind of handicapped their roster. You can kind of look at is mostly on offense. There's just not a whole lot of big names because they haven't had a first-round pick with the Deshaun Watson trade. And I don't know, how do you guys feel about Deshaun Watson as far as, I guess, quarterback play on what his future is with the Cleveland Browns?
What he did play there, I think it showed that their offensive line is nowhere near good enough, and not only that, Deshaun Watson was playing terrible. So it was a combination of both. But I think up to that point, he was the most sacked quarterback in the league, if I remember right, when he finally got hurt because he was running for his life.
He is significantly worse than what he used to be. And yeah, I don't think I'd start him on an NFL team. Like, even with this QB room, I don't think I'd start him if he was healthy.
Yeah.
It never fails, though, man. I mean, this guy balled out for Houston. I think they made the playoffs, almost every year he was there.
I think so.
Yeah. They were really good with him.
I was a huge fan. He
really
was
good.
Really good. And they didn't have a good O-line still.
Yeah, and then he goes to Cleveland, the quarterback killing Cleveland Browns, and just doesn't even look the same at all. I thought he just looked lost last year.
This one I don't blame on the Browns at all. I blame it on the 2 years of court trials after court trial after court trial and not being able to train at all because all you're doing is talking to lawyers.
I think the last thing I read on him was there was like 700 days in between games that he played. So there's like a stretch of 700 days that he didn't play football, which is crazy. And then another crazy thing is when he signed his $230 million contract in 2022, just this last offseason with Josh Allen's contract finally got topped with guaranteed money because Josh Allen's contract was like $330 million, but $250 million guaranteed.
Oh, really?
So
Josh Allen just got a bag and he's doing good with it too.
Yeah. So Deshaun Watson is still number 2 on total guaranteed money with his contract that he signed 4 years ago.
Stealing money, man.
That don't sound right. Like, is it guaranteed money still left on the contract?
No, total guarantee. So
Patrick Mahomes still was 10-year, $303 million. So guaranteed up to $403 million with bonuses and stuff. I thought, or it might have been $400 million with it was $400 million with bonuses up to $500.
I think the last when I was reading about it, they said like Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott's were like right below Deshaun Watson as far as total guarantees.
See, that confuses me. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe total guarantees left because when Mahomes signed that 10 years, 10-year, 400 mil, right?
I think that was just the
Guaranteed, and then I thought it
Oh
was
no,
10-year,
it
400
was.
guaranteed, and then
I thought it was like 10 year
up
five.
to
Yeah,
half
I
a billion, in bonuses.
thought it was 50 million a
Those
year, pretty
bonuses.
much, and then I don't remember the bonuses.
I can't remember either.
But either way, that's crazy because he
Yeah.
hasn't
Yeah.
done anything for Cleveland to earn that.
No.
Nothing at all. Nothing for them at all.
Just looking at their roster too, and then just their quarterback situation.
Oh no, so yeah, they screwed him over. His was 210 guaranteed, so
Patrick Mahomes.
yeah, so 10-year, 210 mil. So they're getting him Mahomes for 21 mil a year guaranteed. So yeah, I guess I was wrong with that. I thought it was
And
like
they're getting a discount. That's
that.
what they're
Yeah,
getting.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about their roster now. It doesn't kind of move me. I think it even might be even a little bit worse than the New York Giants. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
it's
it's almost
significantly worse on offense.
Yeah.
on offense. I do. I
Yeah,
agree
for
with
sure,
that. I
yeah.
do agree with that. Now on defense, I think that their defense to me is like so much better that it kind of elevates the entire team
Mhm.
I think
up
it's
to, or not, if not maybe a little better than the Giants. Because I actually like Cleveland to do better than the Giants.
well, and you like their defense is like a top 5, top 10 defense, right?
Cleveland?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I'm thinking they're top 3 defense this year.
top 3.
Mhm.
Wow,
Yeah, I really do.
wow.
I think they're going to be really good.
I think
My
I
only-
think they have the potential to be if their offense was decent on average. But I think they're gonna.
That's one thing I was about to say. Now they got to get off the field sometimes.
Yeah,
but
they got to get a break every once in a while.
Yeah.
I do think I don't think we're going to see him this year, or it might be later in the year. But I do think once we start seeing Dylan, I've been watching his practices and stuff, and he's throwing pretty well. And maybe what you do is throwing pretty well. So once they get their rookie down who they want, and the rookie starts playing for quarterback for him, I do think you'll see a bit of a kick up on their offense, and they'll at least convert on third down every once in a while,
Yeah.
so the defense gets a longer break. So I do bet like half the season I see them as a top 10 defense, but like I said, I'm not a fan of their safeties, and other than Carson Schwarzenegger, their linebackers are get the job done kind of guys.
Mhm.
And Carson Schwarzenegger, I just think he's going to be that good. Never know.
Right,
He's never played an NFL snap.
Yeah, and I guess that is kind of like one of their question marks too. Because if he doesn't, I don't think they have a lot of depth behind him. I mean, Devin Bush is pretty good, but he plays Will. You know, so it's
Who
kind of one of
is
those.
This Mohammed Diaby.
Yeah, and you know they got that Jerome Baker from Tennessee, but yeah, it is kind of one of those where if he doesn't pan out, I guess they're gonna have to find a piece.
Yeah, so they don't have linebackers, and like I said, I'm not a fan of their safeties. So you're gonna, if Carson Schwarzenegger doesn't run out, they have to run man. Is how I see it. You're running man. Their safeties. The second you go cover 2 or even cover 3, I think they're getting torched over top, but by a good passing game. I think their safeties are good enough to hold it down against a bad passing team. But I do think second you hit a good passing team, if they try and run into cover 3, cover 2, they're getting burnt over top. So yeah, if Carson Schwarzenegger ain't good, I think they're cooked over the middle and over top, unless they run man.
So if they're playing themselves, you really like their secondary,
Right.
unless Joe Flacco's playing.
No, like I said, if Dylan starts playing, I mean, I think they'll have an uptick. So I do think with their wide receiver core, I see a 200-yard passing game out of a quarterback against them. If they're running zone. If they're running man, I think they got the corners to run man and lock down a lot of receivers. If they run zone, they can't get it done.
Do you think the division that they play in? I was trying to think of divisions, and I actually was going to bring this up with the Giants, but I think the Giants play in one of the toughest divisions in football. But
Yeah.
then I started thinking about this, but I'm not too sure about the Pittsburgh Steelers coming into this year. With
Well, I'm telling you right now, if they have any quarterback play at all, these safeties, they're not going to be able to run zone against
Aaron
DK
Rodgers.
Metcalf.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to turn? What I was trying to say is, I think. What do you guys think about the division? Do you think the AFC North is one of the better divisions?
I
with
do. I do. I think
the
Yes.
Steelers and Ravens and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yes, I think.
I'm not going to say that it's as good as what I thought it was going to be last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you get any quarterback play at the Steelers, the Browns are in trouble.
Yeah, that's was my wild card was the Pittsburgh Steelers. If we think that they're going to be like what they are with just a little bit better QB play out of Aaron Rodgers, maybe, I don't know, than what they were getting last year with Russell Wilson. Maybe that kind of propels them maybe past the wild card. I don't know, but then
Well,
you're
and
still
if you
getting
look at it statistically, even last year, what he was hitting on Aaron Rodgers here, he was still
he still had
significantly better than how Russell Wilson played.
yeah
So I do think they got an uptick.
yeah
We're missing not at like prime Aaron Rodgers.
right
But I do think they got an uptick in QB play, and I do think
Mhm.
they definitely have the receivers.
yeah.
He's probably got the best receiver Aaron Rodgers has ever played with, other than Garrett Wilson.
No,
It's
Devontae Adams.
man.
Yeah, that's true. Devontae.
Come on now.
So if you look at it, I mean, he's got to
But-
play Aaron Rodgers, or the Browns have got to play Aaron Rodgers twice, Lamar Jackson twice, and then Joe Burrow twice, which just kind of doesn't bode well for that
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
pass secondary.
Which
I guess.
shows you why they picked Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know.
I think they have to run man.
So I
they
think
got the
this
safeties or the
division,
linebackers for
division
some.
as sitting, if we're just talking division, is I think it's probably the third or fourth best. Maybe even if a couple of teams drop out, like if the NFC North isn't as strong as it was last year, they might even move up to second. But I think yeah, they're third or fourth probably best. I'd probably put them at a solid third.
You put them above the NFC West?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I think
I was gonna, NFC West is tough because you don't know what you're gonna get from Arizona, Seattle this year with Sam Darnold. I was actually gonna put the NFC East above the NFC West with Washington, Philadelphia,
Mhm.
Dallas. You don't. I mean, if Dak comes back healthy, I don't know how you guys.
They've
feel
been
about
good
Dak.
in the they've been good in the regular season.
Yeah.
So
When he's healthy.
I don't know. I think
I just see, even with that division being as dominant as they are against other divisions, you really
Mhm.
never see a blowout between the Eagles, the Cowboys, or anybody in that division against an NFC West opponent.
Yeah.
So I
that's
think they're
true.
pretty much on the same level. And if the Niners play like we've seen them play in recent years and how they should have played last year,
hmm
I put the NFC West over them.
Well, going for the AFC North, I think in the AFC, the only division I put above them is the AFC West, and that's it. But I think AFC West
Yeah.
is probably going to be my top division going into this season, top one or two. I mean, they got such good teams going in.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think
So-
NFC West actually might top my list.
Your NFC West?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
might top my list.
I think when we were talking about, was it the Raiders last time?
hmm
We were all pretty high on the Raiders, and they were going to be like the bottom dweller in the AFC
Mhm.
West. So I think we all gave them pretty much
10 wins. Close
turn
to
a win.
it.
Just I think
Mhm.
one of us was it you, Gage, that said they are a wild card team.
Yeah,
Yep.
I that's true. I guess I can't say that. I'm not great with divisions, so thinking of which teams are in there. But yeah, I guess I do think
I mean,
AFC
yeah,
West.
yeah, as far as just as for prediction goes, I mean, I
AFC
don't.
West, I do see it one. NFC
Yeah.
West, I could see me putting it two, but I'll have
Yeah.
to do more research. But yeah,
But I think the AFC North is tough. I
Yeah.
think that they're not ready for it. Only their defense is, but they're not built for it on offense.
Yeah.
I don't think their
So-
defense is. Like I said, I think I think their safeties and I think their
The only way-
linebackers are going to get exposed in zone
Yeah.
coverage
See,
against
I don't
any
see
of
the-
these three teams passing
I don't
ability.
see those as holes like the ones that you're talking about. I don't see the safety as being a hole. I don't see their linebackers being a hole. I just don't see a lot of depth there. So I think if they stay healthy and they stay good, I don't think they have a hole on this defense.
Well, actually, like I said, I think they got depth at safeties that I like. I just think once you get
you just don't think that
DK
they're
from the
elite.
Steelers
Right.
running downfield, the second you get a safety on him, neither of these Brown
Yeah.
safeties are going
I don't know,
to
man.
touch DK. Neither of these safeties are going to cover Safe Flowers downfield.
I'll be surprised if
Neither of these safeties-
quarterbacks have
yeah.
enough time to even get a ball downfield
Yeah.
that much on these guys.
If they
to be
get-
honest with you,
Yeah,
So-
once they get pressure, that's all they're going to have in the passing game.
Yeah,
Which
so-
is why I said if their linebackers don't work out too, Carson Schlesinger doesn't work out,
Mhm.
they'll be able to hit the middle of the field too.
yeah, I mean they're definitely going to have to cover the middle of the field because that's all that they're going to pretty much give opposing offenses. But I agree with you there. If he can't do it, if they can't cover the middle, yeah, I mean it could be long, but
Mhm.
And the second they can't cover that middle, they're dropping guys back. They're running three front defense lines, and then that's when you start getting beat over top
Yeah.
because they're running.
yeah, everything starts
They got
breaking
time.
down there. I agree
Yep.
with that. But overall, I mean, I'll start the prediction here. Honestly, I like these guys better than our last group, which was the Giants. I'm not so sure that. I mean, I don't know if they're going to make it out of the top 10 for draft picks here. I don't think totally out of the cellar yet. But their quarterback room, their offense is pretty bad. I like Jerry Jeudy and you talked about the running backs. I like the running backs. But I'm gonna say wins probably 5 or 6, but I think that's still gonna have them probably picking in the top 5 again. I'm gonna say 5 or 6 wins is my low. My high would probably be 8 or 9, and that's if they get a quarterback that plays really good. If Joe Flacco comes in and is able to manage this offense and get some play out of there, then yeah.
Yeah, I put them on the same level as the Giants. Like I said, I think there's areas in their defense that can get exposed, especially by their division. I think they'll probably, if you get quarterback play out of the Steelers, I think they're getting swept by their division. So I think I put them about the same level as the Giants. I think low 4 wins, high 7 wins.
I, I, I'm going to put them a little bit below because I think I had the Giants at 5-12.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Browns finished a little bit worse. No, I don't think any of these teams. This isn't the NBA where teams are tanking. In the
Mhm.
NFL teams, I don't think really actually like tank. But I think the Browns are coming into this season knowing with that trade that they made with the Jacksonville Jaguars, getting an extra first round pick next year, knowing that they don't. You can't control what the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to do, so you
Right.
kind of control your own fate a little bit. I think you see that with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, the pickups before they even went into the draft. I think there was probably maybe a situation where they probably could have upgraded a little bit better at the quarterback situation in free agency, besides those two.
Mhm.
But if you're gonna your first pick is Dylan Gabriel in the third round, and then Shadur Sanders, so that kind of just tells me what they're targeting next year. Is if Gabriel doesn't work out, I can honestly, I didn't even think about the point of Shadur not being on the team, but I could definitely see Shadur not making it through training camp because they're not going to carry 4 quarterbacks
Mm-mm.
on their roster. So,
No.
um, like I said, I don't like to use the word tank, but I think they're coming into this season thinking, hey, let's make those 2 first round picks worth it next year. They did pay. So this was another thing that I thought that maybe they weren't going to go all out this season is they decided to pay Miles Garrett when they probably could have got 2 first round picks for him.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, but they decided to pay him the highest paid non-quarterback contract in NFL history. So um, I 4-13.
4-13.
Yeah,
So little. So if we're doing that, I'll say 6-11. That's kind of in between. 6-11 is what I'll say. I said 5 or 6. I had the
Okay,
most
so
8.
one record. I'm getting them 5-12.
5-12.
Okay.
So we got 6, 5-4.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of hope for the Cleveland Browns this year.
No, I think that offense doesn't look good, but I really like their defense, and I think it's probably going to go to waste again, unfortunately, in
Yeah.
another season. So, all right, yeah, no, great deep dive. That was awesome. It's crazy that they used to be that good, and it's funny though. I do remember when they were like so sad with what was it, Schottenheimer or in the '80s, late
Yeah, Marty
'80s,
Schottenheimer was there.
and
Yep.
yeah, and they kept losing it. Like they'd lose out to the Broncos on the drive. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? John Elway in the drive, and they just always had bad luck getting to the Super Bowl. And the AFC just was like, and they still fired Schottenheimer even
Yep.
after he took the AFC Championship. But I didn't remember him just being decent when I was young. But now they haven't been good for relevant really
Right.
for so long. So
Yeah, since Plummer stopped playing NFL football, basically.
yeah,
That's
so
autogram.
I think they've
Yeah.
been pretty bad when football actually became the football that we know it. So that is
Yeah.
pretty crazy. But yeah, that was fun. All right, yeah, keep looking for us. We got one more team to do. One more team, the number 1 draft pick. So yeah, we got one more of these to do, and stick with us. Thanks for watching.